Hi, everybody. Welcome to the greatest story never told. My name is J.C. Gordon. I'm coming to you from the Sedona Creative Life Center in Sedona, Arizona, quite frankly, the only place where a talk of this magnitude could be recorded from. What is the greatest story never told? The greatest story is you. What has never been told is infinite intelligence. What this video is going to do is it's going to merge the two together. It's going to merge you into infinite intelligence and infinite intelligence into you, and I guarantee you this is going to transform your life forever. I have to tell you, before I begin this talk, I didn't go out looking for infinite intelligence. I was a banker. I was a financial analyst. I had sold my brokerage company nearly 30 years ago now. I was semi-retired. I had built my own log house. I had put in my own power system. I was living off the grid. I thought I was just going to sail off into the sunset. And then June 25th, 1996, the day that changed my life forever. And I'm sure you have all had moments in your life that have changed your life forever. That was the day that changed my life forever. Why? Because I was out bucking some wood with a chainsaw, and the chainsaw kicked back on me and went through my throat. And if you look very closely, you can see the scar that it's left me. It's left me a 7-inch scar from my collarbone all the way to my cheekbone. But when that chainsaw kicked back, it stayed on me. I had a sweatshirt on, it was a white sweatshirt, and I remember looking down and just seeing the red blood just pouring down. But at that instant, I heard a voice from the inside, and it said to me, "Everything's okay. I have a purpose for your life." And I remember I had a couple of people working on the property at the time. There's a gentleman working across the way, and he just happened to look out. Now, I couldn't speak because, this chainsaw has just gone through my throat. And he looked up, and he saw the chainsaw strapped onto on my sweatshirt and blood profusely pouring everywhere, and I waved him over. And when I waved him over, he came running across, and he asked me what to do. I had a Husqvarna. It was an old Husqvarna. 19 times out of 20, when I hit the red kill switch, it didn't kill, but I told him that's what you do, just kill that. Well, this time, fortunate enough, it did, and he pulled the chainsaw off. And another person who was working on the property, he came over, guided me by the arm, and he led me and drove me into the hospital, which is about 45 minutes away from where this accident happened. Well, as I was on that emergency room bed, about 15 minutes into being in an emergency room, I died. I remember I was looking up at the doctor. He was about 18 inches away from me. And then all of a sudden, I'm at the top of the room. I'm at the top of the room looking down. And as I'm looking down, I see myself. I see this wide open. It was like blood everywhere. It was like a raw piece of steak that was there. And then the very next instant, I remember it was like I was traveling off into some rickety old elevator. And as I was moving up it was completely black. It was pitch black. But I remember looking up, and as I was looking up, I saw this kind of like the first star you see at night. You know when you look out into the evening and you see that first twinkling star? Well, that's what I saw. And I just kept my eyes on that. And as I was keeping my eyes on that, it just kept on getting brighter and bigger and bigger and bigger until it became an all-encompassing white light, and I went through it. And I remember when I went through it, I landed at the top of a mountain. There was no other life, but the very instant that I went through that light, I had this inner feeling, this inner knowing that I knew that I was home, because I was home. And the day was bright, there was sunlight, and I remember being impressed to turn to the side, go over to the side of the mountain, and to go down this pathway that was there. Now keep in mind, I didn't have my body, but I was just floating as I was doing this. So I'm floating down the side of the mountain, and I moved off in about a 1 o'clock direction. And as I was moving off in that 1 o'clock direction, there was nothing but, just open fields, open meadows. And then all of a sudden in the distance, I could start to see this structure. And as I got closer, it was a round structure, and it had this gate that was around it. And I went up towards the center of the path, and down the path towards the center of the gate. And as I moved towards the gates opened up. And I continued to move down the path towards the house. I get to the house, the doors just swing wide open. And there was no life in the house. There was really nothing in that structure. And I remember moving to the right. I moved to the right, and I went up around staircase that was tied to the outer wall. And as I got to the top, there was this hallway. So I'm going down this hallway. The first room I see on the right, it looked like it was like a library. That's all I could say. It was like a library. It was round, it was oval, and there were these CD-like looking sleeves that were in there that were moving back and forth, and there was energies coming in and out, and as they were moving back and forth, I just moved straight ahead down the hallway. To the left, there was a room. There were 4 entities in there. They had hoodies on. They were sitting in a looked like they were praying or something, but I went past that, and I went in the next door on the right. And I remember going into that room. It was pitch black. I'm looking straight ahead into this blackness, and I sensed the door behind me close. Then as I'm in this darkness, I feel this presence, this warmth, this, for lack of a better word, love that just surrounded me. It just surrounded me. And then as I was looking straight ahead, it started to appear. And it appeared as 6 violet dots that form a hexagon shape. And one was at 1 o'clock, one was at 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. And out of these little dots, energy, violet energy just came out of it, and it connected those dots. And then all of a sudden, as I call them in my books, it communicated with me through what I call zings. It wasn't audible communication like we're familiar with, but it was like a strobe light that just hit me, and it hit me between the eyes, although I didn't have any body, but it hit me right here. I knew it would hit me right there. And every time it would hit me, I knew what it was saying. And I had the same ability to communicate with it. Then all of a sudden, within that hexagon, a circle formed, and it became kind of like the snow on and I'm going to age myself in my life here, but when I was growing up, I remember on a Friday night around 11:30, 12 o'clock, the local television station would go off. And whenever the local television station would go off, it would create this snow-like image. And that's what that was. That's what that circle was that appeared in the middle. I then received a zing from the hexagon that told me to go within that. And I didn't know it at the time, but when I went in that, I went into a female aspect of this infinite intelligence, this source. And what that infinite intelligence source was this right here. Let me just do it with this. It was this aspect right here. And I very quickly realized, while I was dead, that infinite intelligence source, God, whatever you want to call it, is asexual. It is both male and it is female. So when I went into that circular snow-like feature, that was the female aspect of infinite intelligence. And infinite intelligence also has a male aspect, which is, for lack of a better understanding, it is a great thought. It is a great thought of everythingness. It is a great thought of everythingness, of everything that always has been, that is, that always will be, everywhere at once. And I'm going to get into this a little more. But what the female aspect of infinite intelligence is its womb, where it has created its fetus, its infinite intelligence fetus. And where I went during my afterlife experience while I was dead, and in time, I was only dead for 2 to 3 minutes. But where I went in timelessness, which is what the great thought, the male aspect of Source is that everything is everywhere where there is no time. And it felt like as I was dead, I was there for years and years. And one thing that I was revealed was that everything in life is predestined. In other words, nothing in life happens by chance. And that actually includes every thought. Every thought we have ever had has been predestined in the male aspect of infinite intelligence, that male aspect of Source. And I don't want to get into the teaching element of it today because that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this presentation is to reveal to you the greatest story that's never been told. And this was the baseline aspect of what I was shown while I was dead. And what that really means is that all of us, if we like it or not, we are controlled by every thought that ever was because it's been created. It's been created. And it has meant that, like the image that you see on the screen right here, we're just literally puppets of that great thought of consciousness that exists. Now, this presentation is for anyone who knows there is more to life than what you've been shown. This presentation is for anyone who is searching for life's meaning and purpose. Again, this presentation is the greatest story that's never been told. And it's for those people that know there's more than what's been revealed to you. It's for anyone who's fed up with the limitations and dogma that may be represented to them by religion. It's for anyone who has ever been pained by the stresses of life and wants to overcome them. And it's for anyone who is not financially free. And it's also for anyone who wants to be the best they can be. The reason why I'm telling you that right now at the beginning of this presentation, because if that's not you, then I would suggest that you don't watch this any further. But the greatest story that's never been told is controlled by an energy of fear and negativity that limits us all. And that's what this presentation is going to help you to overcome. It's going to help you to transform your life forever. It's going to change your life forever. I 100% guarantee you that. Why? Because it's going to move you out of this energy that's controlling us of fear and negativity into the boundless, limitless potential that we're all meant to be. Now, what is that energy of fear and negativity? Now, we're sliding down this chute right here, and we're being spit out so that we can die. That's where everybody is at right now. Everybody is at that position right now because the central bank's cult is really a matrix. It's a matrix of government, of enforcement, and of media. And what are they doing? They have created an energetic web of control that forces you to do whatever the central bankers want. The greatest story that's never been told is how to break this, to take back the power from them and to give it back to you. Since I've come back, I've studied this in great detail. And I've realized that the central bankers have plans that are in place that we don't even know is happening. And if we don't wake up to this realization that we are so much more than what we are presently, then this is what's going to happen right here. By 2032, China will become the world economic power. China will also be in control of artificial intelligence. And at that point in time, mankind will be totally enslaved. It will kind of look something like this. Although this is an actual shot of Alcatraz, the yard in probably around the 40s, this is where we're all going to end up. This is where we're all going to end up. Why? Because today the central bankers have what is called a Marxist agenda underway that they can accomplish their goals. And before I go any further, I just want you to understand that you may think that governments are looking after you in your best interest. Well, they're not. Every government that has ever been is beholden to their employer. Who is the government's employers? It's the central bankers who pay them. What is a central bank? A central bank is owned by, there are over 183 of them in the world, and they are owned privately by individuals. They have the ability to keystroke trillions of dollars, just like that. They could deposit that trillions of dollars in any account anywhere in the world, and they don't have to tell anybody. That's the power that central banks have. That's the power that needs to be defeated. And that's what this presentation is all about. Over this year, there have been limiting events that have not happened by chance. These limiting events have happened to bring you and everybody else to the realization that something is terribly wrong. And when we look around the world today, we can see in every corner of the world people waking up to the fact that change has to happen. Change has to happen. And while I was dead, I saw that life's final generation is here right now. Life's final generation is here on this planet right now. And the reason why life's final generation is here, and this is going to be something new that you have never heard before, it is so that we can become God, infinite intelligence. That's the reason why life's final generation is on the planet right now. How is that going to happen? Again, all of this I saw while I was dead. It happens first by you becoming financially free. It happens first by you getting out of these financial limitations and restrictions that you find yourself in. The second thing that happens is you will reverse the aging process. And I got to tell you a personal story about that. When I died 25 years ago, I was 38 years old. But biologically, I was functioning like I was 58 years old. I used to have 3 cups of coffee a day. It would take me till noon to be able to get the aches and pains out of me. I was overweight. I had no energy. It's now 25 years later, and my personal trainers tell me that biologically I'm functioning like I'm in my late 20s. There is no potential for when people reverse their aging process. And I saw, while I was dead, that the ideal age for everybody is to be functioning like the peak performance years of athletes. That's where we're all moving back to. The third aspect of becoming Source Infinite Intelligence is by activating your ultimate wellness. What is your ultimate wellness? It is your perfect health, less any non-genetic issues that you have picked up during your lifetime. The fourth aspect is by channeling the divine consciousness of infinite intelligence. In other words, you become the mind of infinite intelligence. In other words, you're just not seeing through the limitations of what our mind consciousness has shown us, but you're seeing everything through the eyes of infinite intelligence. And I'm going to share some stories with you as to how that works as we move on. The net result is every single one of us will become physically immortal in that perfected state of infinite intelligence, which has already happened in timelessness. We're just down here in time. We're that female aspect, of that womb, the fetus within the womb. That's who we are. We don't even know that timelessness exists. But from a timelessness perspective, timelessness and time have already connected. How do they connect? They connect through the infinite intelligence code that I was revealed while I was dead, I'm going to be talking about right now. How does that happen? This fetus, and I actually was taken during my afterlife experience to the place where I was actually in the pre-planning of time. I was in the stages that existed before time began. I saw the pre-planning of time actually happen. I was also in the Big Bang. I was in the first few moments of the Big Bang. I saw the Big Bang actually happen, which was the gestation of the infinite intelligence fetus. Now, science refers to that as the Big Bang. There are spiritual books, religious books that occur to it as the in the beginning. It's the same event. It's the same event that created the initial spark of energy and the initial spark of life. Where we are at right now is we are right here. We are but one cell of trillions of cells, or as science calls parallel universes, that make up that multiverse body. What is that multiverse body? It is the infinite intelligence fetus that is within the infinite intelligence womb. That is about to give birth. And that's why we are the final generation still alive today, because we're going to be part of that birth, of when that infinite intelligence body moves into the consciousness, the personality and identity of the male aspect of consciousness. That's what the great thought has put in place. That's why I came back. I did not want to come back from where I was. And I remember the last moment while I was there, I literally wrestled with Source. It zinged me and it said, you have to go back. And I'm like, what do you mean I have to go back? I don't want to go back. And I said that. I said, no, I'm not going back. It said, yes, you have to go back. No, I don't want to go back. And then it slowly left me. And as it was leaving me, its last thing to me was, you have to go back and tell all who I am. I have to go back to tell all who infinite intelligence is. And infinite intelligence is you. And that's what this presentation is all about. It's the greatest story that's never been told, because it's meant to make you the greatest story, one with the infinite intelligence that's never been told. How was that to happen? Again, while dead, I saw life's final generation become God because they became financially free, because they reversed their aging process, because they unlocked their ultimate wellness, because they channeled the divine consciousness of God, infinite intelligence. That's what you have to decide is going to happen. And this right here is the pivotal point of that great thought. The pivotal point of that great thought that makes time timelessness, timelessness time, that makes you infinite intelligence, and makes infinite intelligence you. What is that big domino? That big domino is your acceptance of the divine gifts of God, infinite intelligence. When you accept them, and we're going to be talking about them as I go on in this presentation. When you accept them, it authorizes God, infinite intelligence, to make them real. But first of all, it's all about you accepting them. How do you accept them? You accept them through your thoughts. And as I'm going to show you, we have two different types of thoughts. We have mind consciousness thoughts and we have heart consciousness thoughts, and we'll get into those in a moment. Why? So you can leave the prison, the energetic consciousness prison that you are in. While I was dead, I saw this happens when 3 consciousness false beliefs, secrets, are broken. In other words, everyone has these 3 consciousness false beliefs in their mind. The first false belief consciousness secret is what you know is all there is. What you know is all there is. That's the first consciousness false belief that this presentation is going to help you with. Why? So that this fetus that's been gestating for 13.75 billion years and is about ready to give birth can give birth. When is it ready to give birth? The exact second that birth begins is December 21st, 2082 at 11:11:11 GMT, as I was shown over and over and over again while I was dead. What is that going to do? It's going to birth the fetus and make it one with the consciousness, the male aspect of who infinite intelligence is. False belief, secret number 2, I was revealed, is everything you are comes through the mind. And I'm going to show you that that is not right. Consciousness false belief number 3 is you can never be a true leader. Again, this presentation is going to show you that that is 100% wrong. It's when your consciousness false belief secrets are shattered, it's going to allow you to accept the divine gifts of God, infinite intelligence, so God, infinite intelligence, can become you. And I remember as I'm seeing this while I'm dead, I'm like, I remember when I came back, I couldn't sleep for a week. I was so excited with what I saw. And I remember I went and met with a couple friends up in where this event happened in Bella Coola, British Columbia, Canada. And I remember the 2 friends that I talked to, they were really, really excited that I came back, that I wasn't dead. But when I started talking to them about what it was that I experienced, it was like I was talking to them, and as I was talking to them, what I was saying just deflected right off them. They had no idea what I was saying. And it was at that time, after about a week, that I realized that, okay, there's a little bit of work that needs to be done. I'll tell you, if I knew it was going to take me 25 years to get to this point, I don't know if I would have done it. But anyways, it's taken me 25 years to get to this point where I am delivering this presentation. So let's take a look at that consciousness false belief secret number 1. What you know is all there is. While dead, I saw that to break this false belief consciousness secret, you need to understand the timeless consciousness battle that's going on. In other words, remember when I was showing you earlier on that where this hand is controlling us? Well, that's what's going on. Why? Because there is a consciousness false belief that you need to understand that a consciousness, timeless consciousness battle is going on. In other words, The male consciousness created, in its great thought, this consciousness battle that's going on right within this womb that we are. And we are that center cell. Our universe is that center cell. The Google of atoms that we think makes up this universe is only one cell of trillions of other parallel universes and cells that blend together to make that multiverse body and to make that infinite intelligence fetus. What I saw while I was dead is that there were basically 3 realms of consciousness. Now, all we know is this lower realm. And where we live primarily is in these 2 lower realms of consciousness. I'm going to change the color here so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay. The physical realm and the mental realm. Because that's where most of us live. We live in the 2 lowest dimensions of consciousness through our mind. Now, in this lower realm, there is also an emotional realm of consciousness. There is also a spiritual realm of consciousness. And for the very few, they may reach an enlightened realm of consciousness. But those are the realms of consciousness those are the dimensions of consciousness within the lower realm of consciousness. The middle realms of consciousness are what I experienced while I was dead. In other words, when I left the emergency room that I was in, I went into a 6th dimension transitory realm that took me through the 7th dimension void of time, which is everything between here and the edge of the universe. And when I went through the light, I entered heaven, nirvana, or the place that is home to our spirit, our bliss. If we don't get out of these lower 2 dimensions, we're going to remain in our timelessness prison. And what would happen is that this fetus that is about to be born on December 21st, 2082, would not be able to be born alive. It would be stillborn. In other words, this decision, and the reason why I came back to tell all who I am, is about you becoming God. It is about God becoming us. And it's one simple step that we all have to do. And that single step is about moving into our heart consciousness and out of our head consciousness. Now, for many of us, we don't even know that we have a heart consciousness, because as I talk about it in my books, the heart consciousness communicates to us through what I call the 12 silent whispers. And those 12 silent whispers are intuition, insights, instinct, imagination, inspiration, passion, discernment, trust, hope, love, joy, and bliss. Those are the 12 whispers of our heart consciousness. That's what we need to move into, and that's what this presentation is going to help you do. Why? Again, I saw while I was dead that getting out of your head and into your heart is going to produce your financial freedom, your biological age reversal, your ultimate wellness, and your infinite intelligence consciousness. What's that going to do? It's going to get you out of the mind prison that we're all in. It's going to help you to realize that we don't have to have all this civil unrest. We can defeat the central banker's matrix by making the decision to do so, by becoming source, by becoming infinite intelligence, and by accepting its divine gifts that are waiting for us. I had some personal transformations that have happened to me since I've come back, and I talked a little bit about my 55-year age reversal or age shift that I've had since I've come back. I also had a debilitating 15-year health ailment completely disappear when I came back. Prior to when I died, I had suffered from grand mal seizures. I was taking Dilantin and Phenibut. And as a result of that, I was kind of like in a fog and, Quite possibly that fog is what contributed to the chainsaw going through my throat. I'm not exactly sure. But the moment that I came back, I knew that I didn't have to take that Dilantin and Phenobarb. And it's been 25 years. Never taken any of it, and I've never had a seizure since. And I've come back with an understanding and awareness from the perspective of infinite intelligence, and I don't want to get into it too much at this point in time, but simply put, this is what it is. It allows me to visualize, not from my perspective, but from the perspective of infinite intelligence. And let me tell you, when that happens, as I've had it happen time and time again with the clients that I've worked with and some of our coaches as well, there are no limitations. The second false belief, conscious is secret, is everything you are comes through the mind. Again, I saw while dead that to break this false belief, you need to know what will happen if you don't get out of head and into heart. While dead, I saw the parameters of a great trial of consciousness. Again, where I was taken to before I died was into the events that happened before time began. And as I was taken into those events, I saw that when I went into the events that happened before time began, it was like I was taken into this classroom. It was like a high school chemistry class. There was nobody in there. There was just these two empty desks, and I was like a fly on the back of the wall. And I remember Source took from itself two helpers, a male helper and a female helper, and he put them in both of those desks. He gave the male helper the name Lucifer, the female helper the name Lucy. And again, I'm not going to get into any of the details. That's another weekend retreat that I do that talks about that to all the details of that journey. But the male aspect, Lucifer's purpose for being, was to physically create the fetus, to physically gestate the fetus, which he did for 13.72 billion years. When his journey was done, Lucy then began her journey of implementing and perfecting the personality and identity of Source. And while I was dead, I went back into an event that happened in time about 12,000 years ago. I call it the rap party because everybody was coming back, i.e., Lucifer and Lucy, because they had done their work. The fetus had been gestated. The personality and identity of Source had been created. And now the rap party was occurring, where we were just waiting for the ascension on December 21st, 2082 to happen. But Lucifer said, I'm not happy with this, because for 13.72 billion years, I'm the one that has put the fetus together. I gestated it from its nothingness to its macroness now, right? I deserve the opportunity to become the personality and identity. And the amazing thing that always blows me away about this is that Source, Infinite Intelligence, knew that. Source, Infinite Intelligence, knew that that would happen. And everything that has happened since has been predestined to happen the way it has. But that's why the great trial of consciousness has happened. Okay, the great trial of consciousness has happened, so this fetus can be birthed. That's why the great trial of consciousness is going on. And so the question that was raised by Lucifer is, I deserve to be the personality and identity of that soon-to-be birthed fetus. Right? And Source said, okay, well, go ahead. But there were some parameters that were put in place for this great trial of consciousness. And for the last 6,000 years, those parameters have been honored. Okay? Humanity has been subjected to the energies of fear and negativity, so the prosecution can win the great trial of consciousness. For the last 6,000 years, we have been From a timelessness perspective, what has been going on is this great trial of consciousness has been happening to determine the victor. And think of any court case. You have the prosecution pleading their case, and then you have the defense giving their case. In this case, the jury for the great trial of consciousness is you. You and the rest of humanity is the jury that is going to determine the winner of this great trial of consciousness. Are you going to remain within your mind consciousness? Are you going to continue to be monetarily restricted? Are you going to continue to age, be sick, diseased, and die? Or do you want to be financially free? Do you want to reverse your aging? Do you want to eliminate all your health problems? Do you want to become the mind of source? And do you want to be physically immortal and live forever? That's the choice that we have right now. The prosecution for the last 6,000 years has been pleading its case through the mind's consciousness. And I actually saw, while I was dead, in the garden, 6,000 years ago, the first ego chips that were implanted in the left head. And ever since anyone has ever been born, they've been implanted with this ego chip. That's why babies die when they're born, because this ego chip has been implanted. And since the ego's first install 6,000 years ago, until December 30th, 2019, the prosecution was proving its case in the great trial of consciousness. Okay, so the last 6,000 years has been nothing more in timelessness, in the great thought, nothing more than the prosecution proving its case so it can win. And if anyone doesn't want to accept the divine gifts of infinite intelligence, financial freedom, and we're going to be looking at more about this as this goes on, the reversing of your age, your perfect health, the consciousness of source, that's great. That's your choice. The beauty of all of this that I saw while I was dead is that there is no wrong. Whatever you choose is 100% right. And the great thought, the male aspect of consciousness is really nothing more than a computer. I call it the infinite intelligence computer, where every thought that we have goes into it and it brings forth every action that we have. Nothing happens by chance. Every thought that you have ever had was predestined. It was thought of in the great thought that happened long before time began. And unfortunately, for the past 6,000 years, we have meant to be subjected and controlled. Why? To give the prosecution, to give Lucifer, to give the dark force the opportunity to win, to become the personality and identity of the soon-to-be birthed fetus. And the defense of infinite intelligence began presenting its case in the Great Trial of Consciousness on January 1st, 2020. In other words, in every trial, the prosecution gives its case, and then the defense gives its case. Well, it's now the defense's turn to give its case. And it took me a while to get this one, but that's why I had to die. I had to die to be able to understand all this, to have all of this revealed to us, so that I could come back and tell all who I am. Who I am is infinite intelligence, and it's all meant to become you, where you become infinite intelligence, and infinite intelligence downloads itself into you. That is the essence of what infinite intelligence case is. It is all about telling all who I am. And what is that infinite intelligence? It's this. It's divine, timeless love. That's what infinite intelligence is. That's why I was sent back to reveal this. And I remember when I came back, I died in 96, so that's 25 years ago. But I knew that I couldn't release this information until now, 2020. Why couldn't I release it now until 2020? Because the prosecution was still delivering its case. The prosecution has delivered us to this absolute state of depravity. It's delivered mankind to its lowest state of humanity. I came back to reveal divine, timeless love right here, so that time can be birthed into timelessness, so that the infinite fetus can live, and timelessness can become time. The great trial of consciousness had some parameters around it, and I just want to quickly get into these parameters now. Those parameters were the prosecution only had to win one person. We have 8 billion people on the planet. It only needed to get one of us, right? It only needed one of us. Well, the defense needed to win over 144,000. And again, I saw while I was dead, when 144,000 people become source, the dark force's power is over with. It's dead. It's no more. But those were the parameters of the great trial. And here's probably the most important aspect of that. The great trial of consciousness decision is to be made by January 1, 2025. So what do we really have? We have 4 years to decide to accept the gifts of Source and become Source. And when 144,000 of us do that, the dark force is dead. And I remember I was actually delivered up to that point of when the birth happened. I was able to see and feel the presence of that divine timeless love, where timelessness and time meet. And how does that happen? Well, if the prosecution wins, this is what's going to happen. Monetary restrictions will drastically increase. There will be a one-world government of tyranny and authoritarian power. China will be the world's economic power and will control artificial intelligence, and it would lead to the greatest genocide of mankind ever to take place. The only way to defeat the central bank's matrix in the prosecution is to, 1, let your heart consciousness become your lead consciousness. 2, become financially free. 3, reverse engineer your aging process. 4, unlock your ultimate wellness. And 5, do life as the defined consciousness of God, infinite intelligence. Those are the 2 choices that we have. Either let the banker's matrix win, continue to have pain, continue to be monetarily restricted, continue to age, get disease, and die, or become immortal physically, become your perfected health state, reverse engineer your aging process. And where it all begins is through money, by you becoming financially free, so that you can take the control back from the central banker's matrix, back from the governments, back from enforcement, back from the media, and put it into your hands. To use money for the betterment of mankind and not for the detriment of mankind. That's false belief number 2 that has to be overcome. False belief number 3 that has to be overcome is you can never be a true leader. You have to be a follower. You have to conform to what's out there. That you have to do exactly as you're told. That you are going to have your history written for you, rather than you writing your own history. While I was dead, I saw that to overcome this false belief secret, the role of the true leader must be understood. You're going to write your own history and not have your history written for you. You're going to live in the 12 dimensions of consciousness that Source is, and not just down here in the bottom two. And you're going to help the infinite intelligence fetus be birthed and connect itself. Okay. How do you do that? You choose to let your heart consciousness become your lead consciousness. You choose to become immortal. You choose to become the mind of Source. You choose to have perfected health. You choose to become ageless and longevity. And you choose your monetary freedom. What is a true leader's financial monetary freedom? What is your financial freedom? It is $28,775,826. When will you receive that? Within 3 to 5 years. What will you be doing? You will be channeling, activating, and unleashing infinite intelligence. And how will you be doing it? You will be doing it part-time from home. Why? To collapse the central banker's matrix, so money can be used for the benefit of mankind and not the detriment of mankind. Remember at the beginning I said this is the greatest story that's never been told. Is there any reason why this has never been told? Of course, because if this is told and if you know this and you do this, their power is over with. The dark force is dead. Their 6,000-year journey is completed. So to determine the great trial of consciousness victor, you can choose to be one of the 144,000. Why? Because your financial freedom unleashes infinite intelligence, divine timeless love into money, and it transfers its power from the prosecution or from the dark force to the defense and infinite intelligence. The limiting illusionary economy that we live in, well, yeah, it is legal. It is also very restrictive, and it is pre-tax. And what that has led is into an underground economy. And that underground economy is dark, it's illegal, and it's non-taxed. And what I saw while I was dead is the infinite intelligence economy that we are to move into. That is legal, that is liberating, and is after tax. You know, I've had some of my clients say to me, JC, well, sounds like you're kind of like the real life Morpheus, right? Whereas you're giving people the opportunity, do I want the blue pill or do I want the red pill? Do I want the blue? If I take the blue pill, as Neo was offered, he can just go back to sleep and just go into his life as if nothing's happened. That's your choice. You can take that blue pill. You can stay in your mind consciousness limitations. Or you can choose the red pill. And that's what this ultimate choice that we all have is. Do you want the blue pill of work through your mind or the red pill of love through your heart? How does your red pill of infinite intelligence, divine timeless love happen? It happens through the Infinite Intelligence Coaching Academy. The Infinite Intelligence Coaching Academy was revealed to me while I was dead. And it's taken me 25 years to be able to offer it to you. Why? Because the defense's case did not begin to reveal itself until after the prosecution's 6,000-year case was done. But the Infinite Intelligence Academy is for infinite intelligence coaches. And an infinite intelligence coach channels, activates, unleashes God, infinite intelligence, because that's who they are. They are God. They are infinite intelligence. How we do that is through this portal right here, okay? It starts from your heart. We connect you down to the center of the earth, take you back up through heaven into the male aspect of consciousness and connect you as one with the mind of God. And it's interesting, when you are connected and one as the mind of God, it's like you're standing on a stage, just like I am now, and you're looking up into the spotlight. And as you look up in the spotlight, this is what you see, okay? The goal of that spotlight is to make you this 12th dimension of consciousness perfected as source. But there are 4 aspects of that journey that are going to happen for you to get there. The first one is your commerce eye is going to be open. Your consciousness eye is going to be open. Your agelessness eye is going to be open, and your wellness eye is going to be open. How does that specifically work for you as an infinite intelligence coach? Well, the first 6 months after you have been docked into the mind of God, you're going to be working at home as an infinite intelligence coach, coaching. And for your support of unleashing infinite intelligence and source to the world, to help make the world infinite intelligence, which in timelessness has already happened, you're going to receive some monetary gifts for that work. The second level is the mentoring stage. And again, there are some financial gifts that are going to come your way. At the end of those 2 aspects of an infinite intelligence coach's career, 6 months coaching, 6 months mentoring, your work is done. There's nothing more that you do except receive checks on a regular monthly basis. The first level after that is your doctor of infinite intelligence. After that, you become a professor of infinite intelligence, and after that, a grand master of infinite intelligence. That is the $28,775,468 that I was talking to you about earlier. That's yours. That has been put in place for you to receive through the divine consciousness of infinite intelligence. But you got to choose it. The only one that's going to choose this is you. No one else can choose it for you. Infinite intelligence coaching is the only way anyone activates their infinite intelligence financial freedom. So what is that infinite intelligence big domino that has to fall? You have to choose to accept the divine gifts of infinite intelligence. And when you do, it authorizes God infinite intelligence to make them real. So the question you need to ask yourself right now, is does $28,775,468 justify you to make the decision to make this happen? That's what I saw in infinite intelligence. And I remember when I came back, I said earlier, I couldn't sleep for a week. I was so exciting. I was vibrating with everything that I was revealed. But it wasn't until this aspect right here revealed itself to me. This element right here, I was reminded of that, oh yeah, that's how it happens. Mankind becomes financially free. We're not dependent on governments. We're not dependent and placed into an energetic enslavement through the enforcement. And we're not led to believe stuff through media that's false, right? You become infinite intelligence. It all happens by you becoming monetarily free, by you receiving your $28,775,468 financial gift that's just waiting there for you. All you have to do is decide to make it happen, and it will happen. Anyways, when this hit me, I fell asleep for 48 hours. I didn't wake up for 48 hours because I knew that that's what I had to help make happen. But it wasn't until 2020, right now, that I was going to be able to make that happen and reveal that. So what is divine timeless love? What is the greatest story that's never been told before? It is your financial freedom. It is your fountain of youth in your agelessness. It is your ultimate wellness. It is the infinite intelligence mind. and it is your physical immortality. That's the greatest story that's never been told, because that's who you're supposed to be. That's who you will become. And how you're becoming is by making it happen through your choice. And I don't really care what you choose, because it's all happened in the great thought. If it's not this life for your spirit, well, your spirit will take you back and bring back your next soul and life experience, and it'll happen then. So what is the infinite intelligence strategy that I was revealed? This is what its divine gifts are. It is your immortality. And what is the price of that? It's priceless. It is your infinite intelligence mind awareness. Again, how do you value that? That's priceless. It is your ultimate wellness. How do you value that? How do you value getting rid of every health issue that you have that you weren't born with? Is there any value of that? No, it's priceless. And of course, becoming agelessness. What's the value of that? It's priceless. The only thing that I can quantify is your financial freedom, which is $28,775,000. So what is the total value of the infinite intelligence strategy? It is the infinite divine gifts that make you source, okay? That make you infinite intelligence. Let me ask you a question. Would you commit $50 to own this new car? It's valued at, say, $50,000. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, if you wouldn't do that, stop watching this, okay? Because the rest of what I'm going to say is not going to make any sense to you. Or how about this? Would you commit $3,000 to own this $3 million mansion? Again, if you wouldn't do that, stop watching right now, because what I'm going to say next, you absolutely will think it's gobbledygook. And that is this. How to become an infinite intelligence coaching. Your commitment is your tuition fees. And your tuition fees are $29,000. $29,000 represents 1/100th of 1%. The same as if you were to pay $50 for a $50,000 car, $3,000 for a $3 million mansion. But you're not buying a mansion. You're not buying a car. You're buying yourself. You're buying yourself the divine infinite intelligence gifts that have been thought into existence for you. But because this is the very first time, this video that you're watching is the very first time that I am offering this anywhere. For a select few, I have a 65% discount off of that, which is $9,700. Your $9,700 is going to allow time to become timeless, allow timelessness to become time, allow you to become infinite intelligence, and allow infinite intelligence to become you. I don't really care what you do, because in the great thought, it's already been done. But I wanted to make available to you the best possible circumstances possible. And that's why I have a 100% money-back guarantee in this. What is that 100% money-back guarantee? If after 1 year in your infinite intelligence coaching career, which I have been revealed, and it's in place that digitally the world will be made aware of this. But let's just say that if after 1 year of your infinite intelligence coaching career, you do not receive back your financial gifts of that $9,700 that you paid for your tuition, we will pay you back the difference from what you have not received. So there is no risk for you to become infinite intelligence. There is no risk for you to become ageless. There is no risk for you to become 100% well. There is no risk for you to become monetarily free. Become a certified infinite intelligence coach and change the world. That's why I came back, to tell all who I am. And this was what I was revealed while I was dead, is the structure and the strategy to make it all happen. Okay? I only have a few spots remaining in the special introductory offer. And if this has all intrigued you at all you have to do is this, is book a discovery call with one of my infinite intelligence coaches. And you do that by going to the website, going and booking it at www.iica.me/discovery. Just go on there, pick the time that's best for you. It's a free 15-minute call, and one of my coaches in that 15-minute call is going to be able to determine if you're ready to become infinite intelligence. And how they're going to do that is we have a simple infinite intelligence exercise that we do that is going to be able to tell us if you can get out of the limitations of mind and into heart. And that's it. From there, it's all about, if that happens, if you're allowed to do that, you will become source. Since I've come back, I've had over 10,000 sessions with people. And this has never not worked. I can tell you, though, that from the beginning of my sessions to now, I didn't have everything that I have now because it was a program. I've actually written 14 books about this, and I only have 2 of them out there because all the books I wrote were stepping stones to get to this process. But I want to end this presentation by first of all saying thank you to you for watching me, because this has been about a 75-minute presentation, and I thank you for allowing me into your day to take 75 minutes out of your precious time. And I want to end this presentation by saying one thing. Life is meant to be enjoyable. Life is meant to be enjoyable. If you have any aspects about your life that isn't enjoyable, take that to be a sign that something may be off, okay? Something may be off. And so, again, I want to thank everybody for listening to me, and I want you to go to the iica.me/discovery, and I want you to book your free discovery call now with one of my infinite intelligence coaches. Because this presentation has all been about the greatest story that's never been told. And I hope in this 75 minutes, I've been able to at least give you a glimpse as to what that never told story is. That never told story is about making you the greatest story into that never told story of infinite intelligence. It's about infinite intelligence becoming you, and about you becoming infinite intelligence. Again, everybody, I want to say thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the journey. Have a great day. Till next time, J.C. Gordon, over and out.